So let me get things going here. We're looking at the what sold in our online shops it was May into June. So May 28th through June 3rd. And it wasn't that bad of a week. We're just going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with eBay. I think I mentioned this dress last week because I had sold that flour sack or that feed sack dress with the pig on it. And I had gotten it at a yard sale for $3. And then this one was at the same yard sale. So it was like I was saying, it was that same all kind of style. This one was probably 80s, maybe a little bit earlier. And some of her other stuff was boho and, lug and look and that kind of vibe going on. So I was super happy to pick this one up for $3. It didn't have, let me see if I can find the picture with the label. It was kind of tricky to get to it. So there's the label. It's just called the Private Line and made in Hong Kong. So vintage, most likely 80s or so, early 80s. It was a size 13, which is junior sizing. And that's where a lot of the gunny sacks dresses are in those junior type sizing. So I figure it's like the same audience. And so they're going to, understand what they need to be on the lookout for the buyers of these, of what 13 is equivalent to. And of course, I had measurements and everything in the listing as well. So that did not sell for $74.99, but I took an offer. I think it was like 55. I don't know. I feel like I talked about this already, but I'm pretty sure I sold this in this week. Yep, it sold on Sunday. Okay. So I sold it for $58, and that was an offer. I think I sent an offer and got a counter offer, and that was good by me. Next one is this little shirt, not a big deal. It was just kind of funny. I was at the thrift store with my son, and he likes to pick out his own clothes, his own shirts at the thrift store when he's in the mood. And he's looking through all the shirts, and I see the tag, new with tags. So I just kind of like, oh, I wonder what that is. And so this was in the kids' shirts, and it ended up being priced as a kids' shirt. It's a woman's small, and it's a cropped t-shirt. And I just thought, Billabong by itself, Wrangler is an okay brand. But I just thought the two together and the Keep the West Wild, and it was new with tags, I just thought that would be worth picking up for, the price of a kid's shirt at Goodwill. And then also, I did look at comps, and I found some comps that were in like the $20 range. So I actually did sell this one for $18, and the buyer was super happy. I already got positive feedback on that one. This was a Peter Millar. This one, actually, I shouldn't even have included it. We had to cancel this one. So this one, we were getting it ready to ship, and we had sold it for $35, and my husband found a hole that he had missed when he listed it. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's that, knit sweatshirt, not really sweatshirt material, but I don't know. Maybe you can picture it. Maybe it is. But it's kind of like when you stretch it out is when you would see the hole. And it didn't stretch out enough on the mannequin, I guess, for him to have noticed it. So we messaged the buyer right away. And now this might be a little controversial. If you want to leave a comment about this and what you would do below, feel free. I know what I feel comfortable doing. I messaged the buyer and we said, I'm sorry, we were packaging this up, found a defect, we're willing to refund you and just ship it anyway. Like that was, we're just going to end up donating it. If they want it, if that wasn't a big deal for them, that's not their fault that we missed, a flaw in our listing. So we just wanted to kind of move it on if they still wanted it. Well, he wrote back and said, no, thanks so much for being honest, but let's go ahead and cancel. Now, some people might take that and go, you know, oh, the buyer asked to cancel, and then choose that as their reason for canceling the order. Now, to me, that doesn't seem quite right, because it's not like the buyer purchased something and then, change their mind. I'm going to go in and say, actually, could you cancel my order? That happens, no big deal. But this was our fault, and so I felt like we really should own it, And so when I had to choose to cancel, I had to choose item out of stock or damaged. Now, I kind of wish they would separate those two. Now, if it's out of stock, that's just me being disorganized, or possibly eBay, relisting things that they shouldn't. But I deserve that kind of defect. Now, if something is damaged, yes, I also kind of deserve it because I wasn't as observant when I was making the listing. But I also am providing good customer service by letting the customer know about it and coming to an agreement with the customer. So there should be some other kind of level of blame in there. Other people will just go ahead and just say, hey, the customer said cancel it. And so then they take the one that says buyer asked to cancel. And then they don't get any kind of ding or defect on their account at all. So I don't know. Whatever you decide to do, that's totally fine with you. I just don't feel like... I felt like if eBay is keeping track of buyers who do that, then it's not fair to give a buyer a ding in that sense. I mean, I have no proof that they keep track of that with buyers, because buyers generally can do no wrong. But anyway, I don't know. You can leave your thoughts below. You can do what you feel comfortable doing, but that's just how I feel about it. Okay, so anyway, that one, we ended up canceling that one. And then the next one, another fun thing, this one is being returned to us. So this sold for $30. Let me see if we still had the coupon going at this time. Yeah, we still had the 15% coupon going at this time. So it was the $30 minus like $4.50. Now, it's coming back to us, no big deal. We have returns enabled and they're auto approved and everything. If the person chooses item not as described, then I pay for them to ship it back. But if it's them just changing their mind about fit or whatever, then they pay to ship it back. So I don't know that she's shipped it back, and I think she did open the return. She did open the return, but I didn't look to see what reason she chose. There's nothing technically wrong with the skirt. I could see it going either way, but as you can see, the fly, I guess you would call it, is really, really short, kind of like in Y2K clothing, right? And so she just had an issue with, like, the waist would fit her, but because the fly doesn't open very far, getting the skirt over her hips was an issue. So she went into a great bit of detail about it, and I just said, that's fine, just go ahead, open a return. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet when I get it back. Denim maxi skirts can do pretty well. I might relist it slightly lower, give definite measurements across, maybe at the bottom of that fly or whatever, and just try to make it clear to the next buyer. The next buyer could be a different body shape and it would be not affecting them. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll decide what to do when I get it back. So the other thing that'll come into play is I am actually going on a trip coming up this week, and I'll be gone about 10 days. So if she does ship it back soon, then it'll come back to me while I'm gone. My mail will probably get held, and I will just have to auto approve the return. This one I'm not so worried about. She you know, she expressed herself very clearly, and, you know, I don't think she like damaged it or anything like that. So I don't think it's a big deal. I've had that happen before. And when you're on vacation, you know, sometimes returns show up and you have to act on it, even though you can't check the item in person. So, anyway, how I'm handling my stores on vacation is the subject of another video that will come out in a couple days. And I'll just talk all about that then, okay? Cutco. So if you saw my knife video, we talked about knives and of course, and even utensils in the utensil video. You know, Cutco is like up there for knives and also for utensils. So I found this set at the thrift store just a couple weeks ago, and it was marked at $200 at the thrift store. Now, that thrift store does half off their entire store on Sundays, and you know, I didn't make a special trip. It's the next town over. But I was on my way out of town, you know, for the day up into the mountains with my family, and you go right through there. And I said, hey, today's half off day. You know what? I had checked comps and everything like that. I'm going to get this set of Cutco knives. It was really nice. It was a set of 12 steak knives. The knives themselves were in great condition. The box had some issues, so that, you know, it didn't close all the way. It was warped a little bit, but the knives were great. So it says, you can see Cutco right on the inside. And so I had them listed for a little while, and I ended up sending an offer for $213. Well, I didn't send that specific offer. I did, I think, 15 or no. My coupon had been running for 15% and nobody had bought with that coupon. So I sent an offer to all the likers at 18%. That's why it's kind of a wacky number. $213.19. So I basically almost doubled my money on that set, but it was so easy, and it was Cutco, and it was a guaranteed sale. So I am totally okay with that. Making $90 or whatever on a listing is fine by me. Another one of these wallets sold. These are out of stock now. I have like one left. And then I went to the thrift store where I get them, same place I get the Cutco knives, and I found the very last one. It's just a very small sport wallet. I found the very last one that they still had in their inventory, so I went ahead and bought that one too. Because these have all sold. My Alette minimalist super thin wallets have been great, great sellers. So I'm glad I picked those up. And that one was an international sale. It went through eBay International Shipping, and that was just full price. So that was done. I don't know where it's going to. I don't think there's a way to know. Okay, next one is a little hat. It's a kid's youth hat. I'm sure we picked this up at our little bins, thrift store, clearance center kind of thing. It sold for $12, so it was an offer we sent out. One of my Jams World shirts sold. It has been a little while since one of these have sold. I only have a couple listed at the moment. I think I have all the Jams World listed. There's still a rain spooner or two that... Oh, there's a Jams World that's got some condition issue thing that I would have to figure out what to do with, whether I list it or not. And, yeah, I got to figure that out. So this one sold for $59.99. And last thing for the week on eBay was this tip and tap thermos. And it sold for $35. Not too bad. This is kind of an example. We picked this up back in September. And I think it was then. We really like the color and everything. Vintage thermos and coolers sometimes can do really, really well. And so we saw some pretty good comps on this one, but we were looking at comps for the summer, right? And so we listed it, we got home, we listed it, and it was kind of like crickets. So it was winter, right? And now that we're getting into picnic weather and warmer weather, it sold full asking price of $35. And over to Poshmark, we had a Athleta, just this like sheath athletic dress, had pockets. It's always nice when it has pockets. This one I've had listed for a while. I can tell my background. Is that here? Oh, I guess it is here. Okay. But still, it was a few months I had this one listed. It was not the oldest label that they have, but I don't think it's the newest style either. And that one sold for $18. Prana. Prana, we do pretty well in their pants and shorts. Shirts are kind of hit or miss. These were cargo shorts, and they sold for $28. Levi's. So silver tab is usually a good pickup, but we do the best with baggy. They say right on them baggy or even relaxed fit, and it's very a 90s Y2K kind of thing. Now I came across these, they were relaxed, but they were boot cut, and so I thought, well, that could still be good. Well, they took a while. I mean, I'm not complaining. They did sell for $35, but the baggy ones will sell much, much faster. So here's the back. It says boot. And then it's printed right on the denim right there. Silver tab. And then as you can probably imagine, it's not a red tab on the back. It's a silver tab. Okay, so that's how they get their name. So those sold, like I said, for $35, which is a good jeans price for us. Now yarn, there is, a lot I do not know about yarn, and what I don't know could fill a book. The only thing I know about yarn is to look for good materials. Like acrylic would have to be pretty specific, or you could get it super cheap. I know people who sell Walmart yarn just fine, but I haven't quite figured that out yet. And it seems to me when I find it, it's not priced super cheap at thrift stores. So when I came across these, it was virgin wool, 100% virgin wool. It was several skeins of the same color, and they were made in Belgium, and I thought this would be fancy enough. And it's vintage. It had a really cool vintage little price tag. Let me see if I have a closer. Well, not price. Imported by William Unger and Co. in New York. So I just thought that was really cool. Now, what was surprising about the whole experience is that it sold on Poshmark. Totally awesome. So $30 I paid. This yarn was in a bag in one of my favorite thrift stores, and I paid $30, or I paid $5, and it sold for $30. A hat I picked up at Goodwill, mostly new with tags. Camo is a good thing. Twisted tea, if people like that drink, then they might want the shirt. It was a nice looking hat, and it being new with tags was a benefit. So that sold for $20 on Posh. Then this beanie by Adidas. It was from 2013, the Denver Nuggets. So it had the NBA little patch, sold for $12. Kubota. This is one of my last Kubota hats. I came across a bunch back in the fall, and they've just kind of sold fairly steadily. They were all in really good condition, and this one sold for $15. And then this was kind of cool. My husband I think my husband picked this one up, but it was a Western style sport coat, which we can find fairly often out here in Montana. So it had the yoke, design up here for the Western jackets. It was Joe Namath was the brand. It was corduroy, which was also nice. And here I'll show you. Here's a label. Joe Namath's signature collection, had the size right on it. And yeah, just kind of an unusual June sale, but that's fine. Corduroy for $40. And it was neat because we sold these, and I think we've sold most of our Western style blazers. We might have one left. But I went to a yard sale that day, and it was such a Montana yard sale. I so wish I had recorded the drive there and the barn and the old cowboy that was running the sale. I mean, he was classic. And so I bought 2 more of the Western style sport coats. One is a Pendleton and one is an H-Bar C, which is a good Western brand. So hopefully you'll see those in upcoming What Solds. Arborwear. This is the last Arborwear shirt we have that sold. I sold, remember, the other 2 were damaged. You know, not crazy, but just they had been wearing them to work, right? Because it's an Arborwear. It's for arborists, people who do tree work. And here, let me pop on the label for you while I explain. Original tree climbers gear. So I had sold the other 2 faster, the ones that actually had holes, and they sold around $30. And then this one that was in good condition, people kept lowballing me, and I thought, well, this makes no sense. So I held out, and I ended up getting $30 for this one as well. And then the next 2 items were a bundle. So this was a Titleist red hat. Nothing super special, but then they bundled it with this alpaca wool knit beanie by Artisania. Anyway, I could go on. $35, and that was, I believe, the bundle price as well. So I basically, you know, the Titleist hat was free, whatever. So, but the 2 hats together sold for $35, however you want to look at it. And then the last sale on Poshmark for the week was these cool KUHL pants, sold for $30. Cool is always an easy pickup. Okay, let's go over to Etsy. Let's talk about sewing patterns. Okay, I should say, I don't know if you've seen, some of you might only watch the What Sold videos, but I did do some sewing pattern videos as well. And the last sewing pattern video that was super long, we talked about bolos and we talked about different patterns. And so I'm going to give a little spoiler for the next What Sold I do, which will probably be after my vacation. In that video, I had talked about this walkaway dress pattern, this vintage 50s pattern that I had come across in my research, and then all of a sudden realized I had one. And so I was discussing, should I auction? Should I whatever? And then I got, there was a suggestion, and I knew my trip was coming up, so I was like, should I wait? And so one of you commented, I think it was Farm Girl Scavenger, and you commented, why not just list it now for like a high price, higher than the last auctioned price, and just see what happens. If it sells while you're gone, then you're good. And if not, then, right, then you can auction it when you get back. So I thought, you know what, that's a good idea, because I had a feeling it was going to be very desirable. It was a high size, higher plus size, and I had the only one available on eBay. So I put it on eBay this morning, and it sold within a few hours for $100. So anyway, sewing patterns, people. I will show you that pattern. I mean, you can see it if you watch the sewing pattern video, but I will show it to you in the next What Sold as well. That covers today, okay? So not a $100 pattern, but still an interesting one. This one was by Butterick, and it is Making History. So costume pattern, sold for $12. This Vogue pattern was a maternity pattern. It was uncut. I'm trying to get the whole picture here. Okay. So 70s, maternity, there was a jumper, there's a dress, all that kind of thing. That one sold for $15. A large envelope, Vogue. So Vogue Paris Original. This one's 17. It was Lanvin. So not all the large envelope ones are going to be $30, $40, $50. You know, it just depends on how common, how sought after the style is. The sizing, size 12, bust 34 is okay, but it's a little on the smaller side. And then this McCall's, I mentioned this in the pattern video because I was looking for something else in my stash, but I had been reminded about Laura Ashley patterns being hotter right now, kind of like the Gunny Sacks patterns because of cottagecore. And so I came across this. It was uncut. I said, why did I not have this listed already? I don't know. And I went ahead and listed it. And I listed it for $25, and it sold also, I want to say, within the same day, if not the next day. In the flatware shop, I sold Oneida flatware. These 3 dinner forks sold for $24. This pattern is called Bancroft, and the markings on the back are Oneida USA. This is like the easiest flatware pattern to sell. I love finding it. I found 3 dinner forks, and I think I found a few salad forks, and the dinner forks sold within the week for $24. This one I can't show you the sold thing because it's an active. Well, actually, this is the sold one. I gotta double check that it's still listed. I think I might have messed it. You know what? I probably messed this listing up again. Okay, I will have to go in and edit that and fix it. But anyway, this is the ice cream scoop that sold. And I think it sold for $10. Maybe a little bit more. I can't see the price right now. But this was one of the earlier variation listings that I did on Etsy, and you have to do things a certain way, and I talk about it in my variation listing where it doesn't just, you have to make the quantities, you have to add the quantities in, otherwise it says, oh, you only had one thing and you sold it, okay, that listing is done. Okay, so I think I have to go back into this listing and edit it. And then these 2 iced teaspoons by Oneida as well sold for a whopping $6. Over to my husband's Etsy shop. Do you recognize this little organizer? I feel like these organizers are at like every thrift store. They're usually brown. The brand is Lerner. It's plastic. It's supposed to look like wood. And my husband, for a while, we did this quite regularly, but we would pick them up because you could find them everywhere, and he would spray paint them. So I have one that I use for my own stuff, and it's like turquoise blue, and this one he painted orange, and it sold for $25. And then we sold a lawn sprinkler. Vintage cast aluminum. You just never know what people are looking for. It also sold for $25. And yeah. Okay, let's go to Ruby Lane. Ruby Lane, we had a buyer bought this fish brooch, which was unsigned, as well as these 2 little scatter pins that were also unsigned. Now, the scatter pins were my mom's, and I really don't remember her wearing them. I just remember them being in her jewelry box for a long time. Anyway, you know, she gave me some of her jewelry last visit to sell, and I've kept the pieces that I like. But so anyway, the buyer messaged me to talk about this, you know, whether I would take an offer on this brooch and the other fish brooches or pins, and I accepted. But then I said, we need to make a purchase order so I can adjust the pricing and all that. And I didn't hear from her, and then a day or so later, she just bought everything at full price. So I went back and I honored her offers that I had accepted and just did a partial refund back to her through PayPal. So these sold for $16, and the pins, this enamel, swirly enamel fish pin, sold for $20. This sold within a day, within 24 hours. It's a little book called How to Keep Bees and Sell Honey. It sold for $12. Just a thin little paperback book. I just priced it according to comps I found on other sites, but I did realize it's a subject that people are interested in right now. And then this little guy, this anthropomorphic creamer, is by Coronet. It had, I'll show you the sticker. So anyway, this kind of anthropomorphic type, kitschy type stuff is very, very popular. This one had some, glaze loss and a few little issues here and there, but still super cute. So they were still doing the sale, the spotlight sale, for 25% off on Ruby Lane. So this sold as part of that sale. It sold for $26. And then I also sold this bracelet for $15 in that sale. It, scarab bracelets, that's what these are called, the glass cabochons on here. And they have Egyptian style scarab beetle markings on there. On the other side of this one, let me see if I can get a picture. There's markings that are kind of like hieroglyphic type things. Now, all these stones are not just glass, they're actually the semi-precious stones. And scarab bracelets are popular. They do sell well. Mine had no name. It was just marked that it was gold filled. The ones with names or, can be attributed to different makers can sell for $25, $30 or whatever. I had mine listed at $20. I went ahead and put it in the sale for $15. It was totally fine with me, and it sold during that sale. And then this rhinestone brooch was very pretty. No maker. It was unsigned as well. I just sold it for $10. This was after the sale. The rhinestones are just kind of glued in and everything, so it was not the highest quality brooch, but it was pretty, very spring-like. So $10, and I'll be shipping that out tonight. Now, I actually had 2 sales on Depop, which was fun. I've kind of been a little more active on there lately, especially if I'm going to get some sales. So this vest was liked everywhere. Like, so many people on Posh or eBay would favorite it, and I would send offers, and there would just be no takers. And so someone on Depop actually sent me a $25 offer, which I accepted, and she followed through. So they're not binding. Offers on Depop are not binding, and so you get a lot of offers that just don't go anywhere, even if you accept them. But this was a made in the USA. Orvis vest that was fun. It was cotton and flax, and it just had this really pretty garden wildflower scene on it. So sold for $25. And the other thing I sold on Depop were these cowboy boots. So Western is trending. These I would have held out. I didn't sell them for $60. I sold them for $35. I kind of went back and forth with the buyer a little bit with the offers. The only reason I didn't hold out for more is that the boots, technically, there should be some blue. You can see the remnants of the blue on the boots, like in certain spots. Everything on the bottom was good, but like all this part here was supposed to be blue. Or maybe the tips or something like that. But you can see where there's still a little bit of blue left over. See that? So considering that, I just went ahead, which I didn't quite realize till I got home what the situation was, that I just went ahead and took her $35 offer. And I have a couple more sets of boots to list So I think those might do a little bit better. Okay, so those were my sales for the week. And as always, let me know how your sales were. What was your favorite sale for the week? Like I said, I'm headed out on vacation, and so I am, there won't be a what sold next week, but I'll catch up on that when I get back. But I will have a couple videos coming out while I'm gone. So, and then also, it is going to be a thrifting trip, visiting friends and family. We'll be hitting thrift stores along the way, so I might just throw up some shorts here and there of just different things if I find anything interesting. So, okay, thank you everybody. It's my bedtime. And I will see you when I get back.